So, without further ado, let's begin the reveal of the tournament brackets from the NCAA. Now, number 12 seed, UC Santa Barbara, the Gauchos. If you've been listening to this show, you know the two gentlemen next to me are saying, beware the Gauchos. Their Big West record in school history, 13-3 on the year.
Let's go on to the second matchup. Let's go with Creighton, who obviously won the Big East, versus UCSB. Who do you have in that matchup?
UC Santa Barbara is an interesting team, and I think obviously Creighton they got boat raced by Georgetown, and I think everybody was completely shocked by that. And they've got obviously their issues with Greg McDermott coming back into the fold, and what's going on in that locker room. I still like all their pieces so much, because I just want offense.
Yeah.
I just want I couldn't guard a chair. I just want to chuck some threes. That's what I wanted to do. And they do that quite well. Couldn't guard a chair. I probably would have played more minutes if I did. But I think that they're a really good offensive team and a gifted offensive team. But UCSB is interesting just because their ability to play with teams above their pay grade, if you will. They've got the player of the year in the conference. Corey McLaughlin is really talented. They don't play a fast tempo. They're good at playing slower. They're a really good passing team, high assist rate, low turnover rate, and their experience. Experience is really important this part of the year. So really like that. They have those pieces. This could be a 12-5 upset if Creighton shows anything like the form we saw in the Big East final.
Yeah.
But I know what those guys are capable of. Marcus Zagorowski is one of the best point guards in the country. They got 5 dudes that can dribble, pass, and shoot. People are like, that's basketball. No, 99.9% of teams don't have 5 guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot. They got dudes on this team. Can they put it together at the right time is the question. They were looking good before that debacle against Georgetown. I think they get back to that form and edge. UCSB is a very talented team.
Tyler, Joe, who you got in this matchup?
Yeah, I lean Creighton, but I do think UCSB is one of those 12 teams that if they got a different draw with the 5, I'd love them as a 12/5 upset. As Dallin pointed out there, UCSB, when you look into the metrics, I mean, they don't have weaknesses. They're top 25 in both offensive and defensive rating. As he said, they don't turn the ball over. They're a team that doesn't beat themselves, and that's what I think Dallin's pointing out to, Joe, is that they can go up in weight class and hold their own against anyone. So I don't think it's quite a coin flip here. I think it's 55-45. But UCSB, when I was researching this bracket, was one of the teams that caught my eye, and I go, damn, they're a really, really good team, balanced, no weaknesses, and wouldn't be shocked at all if they knock off Creighton.
They're coming into this in form as well. They've won 18 of 19 games. They grind you down with slow tempo. I find myself liking Creighton in this spot, though. And it's not by much, but ultimately, I think it's a wake-up call what they went through in the Big East tournament, losing to Georgetown in the fashion in which they did. Dallin mentioned that right off the top. They've lost 3 of their last 6. 2 of the wins in that stretch came against Butler, who's not a very good team this year. So there's a lot to be concerned with here. I think this is going to be a very trendy 12/5, but I will side with the 5.
So you think it's going to be kind of a public 12-5 upset?
Like the public dog situation.
Yeah, the public dog. All right, that puts me over the top. I'm all in on UCSB right now. All in on UCSB after that, Brother Joe.
I think you got 2-1 Creighton there, I think.
So we're going UCSB on this one.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
I was on Creighton, but I'm going to go with UCSB now. I guess you guys got the tiebreaker.
Don't let
Creighton.
The Missouri mustard pants blind you.
Creighton is 5-12 upset special. That stinker they laid against Georgetown.
Yeah, that said a lot. That's why I think Creighton's a 4 seed if they don't have that game.
Oh.
Wow. I love this. Oh, my gosh. Corey McLaughlin, Kimba candidate, UC Santa Barbara. That's someone to watch out for. Zagorowski versus McLaughlin.
Yeah.
That's a great first-round matchup.
That is a big-time make shots game. I'm calling it now.
Yes.
That's a make shots game.
Miles Norris, another guy on UC Santa Barbara.
This is good for Virginia.
Put your 4s up.
Let's move down to Creighton UCSB. This is tough. If you would ask me a question a couple weeks ago whether or not I would pick UCSB over Creighton, I would have said no way. But Creighton really struggled. I know they got to the final by outlasting UConn in the Big East tournament, but then they lost to Georgetown. Obviously, there's been a lot of turmoil with Greg McDermott. He's back on the bench. But I just feel like there's something disjointed about this Blue Jay team. UCSB has been on a great roll in the Big West. They beat Irvine to win the Big West tournament. Shout out to Joe Pasternak to get to the NCAA tournament the first time as a head coach, former assistant to Sean Miller. I got the Gauchos in the first 12-5 upset that I'm picking in this bracket.
What else is jumping out to us here? I was asking you before we cut off with Musselman, the 5-12 upset. This is something that people get excited about. It draws, and for the people at home, here's why. I'm going to break it down for you. Your 5s and your 12s. Your 5s, as we're seeing here, are usually your teams that are maybe were good, have fallen down a little bit, like Villanova, for example. Great example
Tennessee.
of a 5 seed. a Tennessee, a team that like usually fives are a power conference team that are sort of middle of the road. Maybe they started out hot and they're falling back to earth. Maybe they Colorado, I guess, like got good down the stretch ish. I don't know, but they're a team. They're a power
Pac-12
conference
update.
team.
I don't know.
They're a power conference team that doesn't instill a ton of confidence in you. Is you typically what your 5 seed is, whereas your 12 seed, very often, Tate, is your mid-major that the best automatic qualifiers of all the mid-majors. UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, UCSB could be one just because I like that team. I don't know if you watched the Big West Championship game. People back, they played the Anteaters, the UC Irvine Anteaters, the Gauchos versus the Anteaters. It was a great game last night, and UCSB showed me a lot of potential. They have some talented guys on their team. Like I said, McLaughlin transferred from Oregon State. A guy that can play up against some high level programs and do well, fare well. Can take some big shots as well. Not afraid of the moment. So UCSB is up there as a potential one.
You got a surprise team? That's not going to be a surprise if you tell me what your surprise team is.
Yeah, I mean there are a couple. Like the upsets I see are in the West before they get their season shut down by Gonzaga. I think both UC Santa Barbara and Ohio U are really good picks there. And UCSB has really good guards in addition to a fantastic party area called Isla Vista, which is a wonderful place. If you're young and want to have a few beers and enjoy yourself, Isla Vista is the place to go.
I am Jim Rome, and I'm hyped because we are coming off a tremendous college basketball weekend. The tournament field is set. Let's get it. What's going on? Hope you had a good weekend. Hope your week's off to a good start. Nice to have you here. All right, let me start you off. Smash that play button. It's back. The calendar has set it now for the better part of 2 weeks, but it was not truly official until this past weekend. It is March. Conference tournaments wrapped up. The selection committee did its thing. We have ourselves an NCAA tourney. And after not having it last year, man, it feels good. Feels damn good to have it back, doesn't it? That song, already one of the better songs, has never sounded better than it sounds right now. And it feels even better to be looking at a 68-team bracket. To be talking about 12s and 5s and about a double digit that might make a big run. A high seed that might get bounced early on. Man, all of this is so good. It is so good. And you know what makes it even better? I'm going to make a big and bold statement right now. This is not just the first NCAA tournament in 2 years. I'm going to say it is the first NCAA tournament in 10 years. Because for the first time in a decade, this happened.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Let's go!
What's that you say? What's that you say? Something amazing. That is the sound of Joe Pasternak getting mobbed by the Gauchos when he returned to the locker room because the glorious Gauchos from iconic UC Santa Barbara are going dancing for the first time in a decade. And if the Gauchos are back, the tournament is back. It's just a fact. Did they even hold a tournament for most of the 2010s? Not that I'm aware of, because if UCSB is not there, it just doesn't matter. But now they are. The Gauchos are back, so everything is right with the world once again. UCSB is going dancing. They got over on UC Irvine in the conference championship game that was dripping with jungle karma. You had my beloved alma mater going up against a program that I hold in very high regard, a school that is literally right down the street from where I live. If UC Irvine is playing, I am pulling for them against virtually any other school than UCSB. And if it's against UCSB, though, it is deeply personal. Deeply personal because they have wrecked us so many times. And I've been there in person to see it happen so many times. And the stakes for this game were so high because while we, notice the use of we had just 3 losses in conference this year. 2 of them were to UC Irvine. And everybody knew going into the title game on Saturday night, it was winner take all. The conference, the Big West, was not going to get 2 teams into the big dance. The winner goes, the runner-up gets a set of steak knives.
Second prize, a set of steak knives.
That's why the Gaucho win was so enormous. That's why Gaucho Nation went so hard Saturday night. You should have seen Jano's horror in our own home when I started to light our own couches on fire. She's like, Jimos, what are you doing? And Logan and I had the lighter fluid out, and we were serenading her with Gauchos. Gauchos. Hey, listen, if you know anything about basketball, hell, if you know anything about life, know this. It's that you can beat the Gauchos once. You can beat the Gauchos twice. There's no way in hell you're going to beat them 3 times in the same season. And there's no way in hell they're going to the NCAA tournament and Van Smack's not talking about it. The Gauchos did not lose those first 2 games. They learned from those first 2 games. They were biding their time. Then they exploded. They've won 18 of 19. They thrashed the Anteaters by 16 Saturday night. They are one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. They're a 12 seed. And my best advice to Creighton is you do not even want to show Saturday in Indianapolis. And there's no disgrace in bowing out right now. That way you don't have to run into that Gaucho buzzsaw. Hey, don't act like I can't do this for 3 hours. Don't act like I can't do this for 3 days. Don't act like I can't do this for 3 weeks. However, I'll check myself. Enough about the glorious Gauchos. Well, actually, it's never enough about the Gauchos, but there was some other stuff that did happen in college basketball. So let me move on.